Welcome to Agents and Owners Chit Chat, where we talk to local superheroes, hear how they got their start, overcame obstacles, and how they use social media to achieve their goals. For Agent and Owners social media tips, please visit www.gladmash.com. Here's this week's episode.
Hello and welcome to Agents and Owners Chit Chat. This is Cas Thompson. I have a special guest with me today, Daniel K, right? He goes as Brand with Dan on TikTok. That's how we actually found each other. I was definitely brought into his world through his content. I'm like, hey, even though I'm a content specialist and coach, LinkedIn is not my thing. So this is a lesson for you guys. If you are doing something and you know that something is not your thing or a weakness of yours, don't be afraid to reach out to others for help. So Daniel, what's up, man?
Hey, not much. Just a rainy day in Colorado. Daughter is at grandma's house, so things are quiet. So it's a perfect time to go on a live stream podcast and chit chat. So yeah, I'm happy to bring you into my world and share my insights with you in whatever way that I can, and hopefully help some of your audience and give people some good insights.
Listen, I love it. So before we jump directly into LinkedIn specifically, let's hear a little bit about you. So I hear that you got, a daughter who's kind of out of the house right now. You're in Colorado. So before you were a LinkedIn specialist, talk to us about what brought you down that road and that path and led you to where you are now.
Okay, sweet. I'll give you my spiel. It's definitely been a very up and down journey. And I think for a lot of people, your career path is often not linear at all, and you go all over the place. And when I was younger, my mom, she's in her late 60s now, but at the time she was in her 50s or something like that. And I think she told me, she was like, I've changed careers 10 times throughout my life, and 7 of those times have been the last 10 years. And so I always look back at that and I'm like, like no pressure, like let's bounce around, let's figure some things out. But yeah, in my early 20s, I did a lot of that. I tried a lot of sales jobs, did a lot of just random things that were really like leaps in different directions to try to figure things out. And I learned so much along that path. And eventually I got tired of that world. I went into manufacturing. I ended up at this giant company, and I really hated it. I didn't have any control over my success. I didn't have any ability to, I didn't have any ability to really control where I was going in that company. And so eventually I left. My daughter was born. I had that jolt when my daughter was born. I got back into school, started taking things a little bit more seriously, finished up my marketing degree. But in the process of being in school, I realized that a lot of people in online school didn't really want to talk about these really fun ideas about marketing in the board. So I started putting them on LinkedIn. And I have a writing background of about 15 years, just performance and poetry and things that are really personal to me that I've done for a long time. And eventually I started doing performance poetry and doing slamming, actually performing for an audience of strangers. So I really learned how to formulate my poetry content, and I took that with me to my LinkedIn stuff. So eventually built this following around marketing and all this awesome stuff, and started doing freelancing and helping people learn how to, hack the algorithm, how to figure out how to write the right way for LinkedIn, how to create a brand, how to execute on certain pillars and really figure out what matters to them, what is special about them, and pull that out and make it obvious for the rest of the world to see. And I developed it into this little freelance thing I've been doing, and I've really, really been enjoying it. And it seems like people want LinkedIn in a more approachable way. It's been it's been very snooty for a long time. It's been very B2B, very salespeople focused. But the Gen Z has showed up. Video is becoming more and more popular, and things are changing. So I think that we're in a great time to be on any platform, really. But LinkedIn, TikTok, all these big ones, I think if you're there, you're in the right place. And so that's a little bit of my background. And I have a beautiful 3.5-year-old girl, going to be 4 here soon, and married to my high school sweetie, and life is good.
Awesome. Yeah, I could tell by the way you communicate that you're definitely in a good place, right? With family, with what you're doing with freelancing. And I love to hear it for sure. So just to dig a little deeper into LinkedIn for a second. So we are definitely going to approach one of the things that you brought up, which was the writing, right? And how your writing ability has helped you go to new levels on LinkedIn. But let's scale it back for anybody that's listening right now that's possibly not on LinkedIn and they're considering jumping on it, right? They might be on Instagram or Facebook. And now they're thinking, whoa, now there's another platform that I should be approaching. What should they think about in regards to, hey, is LinkedIn for them or not? So you mentioned the B2B piece and how it's starting to scale down a little bit and being more digestible for all. So again, if I'm a real estate agent, a business owner, am I the right person to jump on LinkedIn?
Yeah, if you're talking specifically real estate or a business owner of any type, definitely the place to be. Now, I could get down into the weeds about that until I'm blue in the face, but really, I think the biggest defining feature is: are you looking for individuals and clients? Are you looking for strategic partners? Are you looking for more or less individuals to connect with? And when you look at a platform like IG, you're looking at a place where you can really push an e-commerce platform, or you can push
Right.
products, and that space is really, really good for that. So I think LinkedIn does have its strengths in the consulting world, where if you yourself provide a service and you only need a handful of clients to fill your books, you're a solopreneur. Maybe you want to move into the entrepreneurial role at some point.
Right.
Nonetheless, though, even if that is the case, that doesn't mean that there is an opportunity for people that do sell products and are looking for that extra influence, because the algorithm is incredibly, it's incredibly there's a lot of opportunity if you do it the right way,
Right.
just like TikTok or anything else. And I think for people that have a really rich story to tell, they have a lot of experience in their particular industry, and they have a lot of things that they can pull from, the stuff they talk about when they go to the bar after work, like
Right.
the stuff they bring up when they're telling stories around the fire, like that's the stuff that they can bring up and they can bring into their LinkedIn content. So really the big questions to ask yourself are you in a client facing business, and do you have a lot of great things to say? Do you feel confident putting those out into a word based platform?
Mhm.
And at the end of the day, it's great because everybody's tied to their work and they're tied to their
Right.
jobs and their businesses. So there's not as many trolls, and you get a lot more encouragement and a lot more camaraderie. So yeah, if you like those things, if those fit with you, then I think LinkedIn's a good place. But at the end of the day, there's a benefit for everybody on LinkedIn to some regard. There's even a guy that does. He's mainly a performance poet. I can't think of his name
Right.
right now. He creates stuff on LinkedIn. So I mean, there's room for everybody in some sense. You just have to look at it from a little bit of a different angle, I think, and
Okay.
there's a lot more quality in the people you speak with compared with
Right.
just quantity, brand awareness, So
Yeah. I've noticed that myself too. I think the relationships that are built there, like you said, there's less trolling. Obviously, it's a more professional atmosphere. So, people are, I guess, more prone to just cut right to the chase if they're going to congratulate you or, add to the conversation. It happens in a more, cleaner way on LinkedIn. So one of the
absolutely.
things that, you've mentioned twice, right, is word-based content, right? So let's talk a little bit about what content works well and what content doesn't work as well on LinkedIn for people that are just starting out. So
Absolutely.
again, if I'm not a good writer, what are some things that I should be thinking about when again designing content specifically for LinkedIn?
Okay. Yeah. Video was incredibly popular for about 2 years, I think. And then I think when TikTok started to
Right.
rise, LinkedIn wanted to stay within a specific area. Um, did you catch the last thing I said, or did I glitch out? Did you catch the last
Now,
thing I
now
said?
I
Okay,
caught
cool. Okay, cool. It was glitching on me. Yeah. So LinkedIn, many years ago was complete. It was the wild, wild west of video, and there was so many big time B2B people just getting so much advantage from that. But when TikTok
right.
started to rise at the beginning of the pandemic, I think LinkedIn wanted to differentiate itself and wanted to make sure it was focusing on written content over video, because everybody else is trying to copy. You got Snapchat, you got Instagram, you got
Right.
all these different Pinterest and all these different companies trying to copy the success of TikTok. So I think for Twitter, especially, and LinkedIn, they wanted to stay in their
Mhm.
own lanes and double down on what was good for them, which I think was smart.
Right.
But But the CEO has recognized that Gen Z is here. They want more video. And at the end of the day, everybody wants more video. It's a great way
Of
to
course.
build trust. And as much as written content is awesome and it's great, you still have to have that visual. But at the same time, you can't have a visual piece of content without the written focus either. So I think right now video is the one thing that's really frustrating for a lot of people. It's great to
Right.
build trust. I do it for the homies, so to speak. We used to say that when I
Right.
was a skater, like you do tricks for the homies, you do it for your friends.
Right.
Like you go for stuff because they want you to, even if you think it's really, really scary or whatever. But yeah, no, I think that the video is great, but say I post a video, I'll get like 200 views on it, but I'll get
Right.
the same amount of engagement, comments, and reactions. But then if I post a written piece of content with that same video synthesized into a written form, I'll probably get 2,000 to 5,000 views on it with my current engagement. So
Right.
there's a difference in the reach. But I think there's room for both. And it's like, if you post a video in the afternoon and you get all those views in the morning, who can complain really, But right now, written content, 700 to 1,300 characters is what's performing the best. So
Okay.
basically think 5 to 7 paragraphs of text. A tweet is only 260. So it's not a whole lot. And that's what's performing best in the algorithm. And then slides are doing really well too.
Okay.
8 pictures plus, which is a great opportunity for people that are on Instagram because they're already creating a lot of that stuff over there,
Right.
and it pretty much fits into the same size. I'm not an expert in that
Okay.
area, but there's opportunity to just repurpose over to LinkedIn from
Okay.
IG, which is pretty cool. So,
Right.
but yeah, written is king right now. But there are trends that are showing that video will continue to be important, and live
Right.
streaming like this too as well. LinkedIn is continuing to develop their live streaming, and they want to be a competitor in that area too. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Noted, noted, noted. All right, so I'm going to tap into two things that you just said. The first thing is slides. So this is the first time that I'm hearing that term, even as a content creator. So would you compare that to something that's similar to carousels? I know you just compared it to IG.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, I use the wrong term sometimes. It is
Now
carousel.
you're fine. You're
Yeah.
fine.
I
So
don't
I mean,
know why I call it that, but yeah, carousels. Yeah.
yeah. So pretty much you're saying that if not comfortable on video quite yet, I'm still working on being a better writer because you're saying written word is actually performing very well. That I could lead in with more visuals, specifically carousel slide type formats where I'm posting 5 to 8 different pictures to bring my words to life. Correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And
Okay.
yeah, did you have more? Did you want to say something else?
Yeah. Well, the second piece was about live.
Okay.
So I know, I tried to go live on LinkedIn maybe 6 months ago, and right now the platform that we're using to record this is StreamYard, and I think StreamYard was the only platform. Again, this is 6 months ago, and social media, everything changes within a month.
Yeah,
So how easy is it today to go live on LinkedIn without a third-party platform? Is it pretty easy?
that I do not know. I
Okay,
think everybody I know that's doing lives is definitely with a third party.
third party. Okay.
I just don't think that LinkedIn is ready to, maybe not ready with all those features yet, but they'll probably be
Right.
coming soon. I mean, I've
Mhm.
been seeing a lot of cool stuff where, sorry, my dogs are barking. But
You're
yeah,
fine.
I've been seeing a lot of cool stuff where they actually are allowing you to film your meetings and do your meetings inside the DMs on LinkedIn. So you can film a meeting in
Wow.
private, you can
Okay.
download it afterwards, and then repurpose it back to LinkedIn. So I think there's a possibility of that becoming a real thing where you can do it all inside LinkedIn. I'm sure that they would appreciate that as well. So as time goes on, you
Yeah,
might
yeah.
start to see more of that.
Right.
But yeah,
Yeah,
I think live.
I'm excited about
Yeah,
that.
go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm excited about that too. Yeah, no, you're fine. I'm excited about that too because if LinkedIn is not, natively doing it on its own platform, and there's an opportunity for a creator to kind of go in there and find some third-party software to go live on LinkedIn, that tells me right away that they're going to stand out, right?
Hmm.
And in a big sea of a lot of other competitors, when I say competitors, other creators, if there's a
Yeah.
way to stand out and you could take that opportunity, then I'd go for it. I'd definitely
Yeah.
go for it for
Yeah,
sure.
seriously. I should be going live. It's one of those things I want on my list of things,
Yeah.
along with podcasting and all of that.
Right.
So I got my idea for one of them, but yeah,
There you
it's still in the thinking phase. But yeah, no, it's really cool, and I think LinkedIn wants to be a leader in that area. I think and there's room in the market for someone to stand out. Is that because
Right.
you have Twitch, but I think Twitch is owned by Amazon. I don't know how big they've gotten or how far they're going to go. So there's a
Right.
possibility with the networking potential of LinkedIn that they can outshine something like that.
I think
So
so.
there's
Yep.
opportunity there, but who knows how quick they'll move, because LinkedIn
Right.
has been beat up for being kind of clunky and not working that
Exactly.
well either. So they got room just to catch up in that area. They
Right.
just weren't ready for the content game yet. They were a
Correct.
professional networking place. That's why the DMs are so advanced, is because people used to
Right.
have a lot of private conversations. So now that they're a content machine, they got to keep upgrading and catching up to that and making things work. So
Right.
um,
Yeah.
yeah, they do deserve a little bit of a critique on that area, but nonetheless, the opportunity outshines that, I think. So
I agree. I agree. And talking about opportunity, one of the things that comes up a lot on my side is like, hey, Kaz, I know that LinkedIn is a little bit more professional. What's your personal and professional opinion, Dan, on sharing personal stuff on LinkedIn? So when I say personal, anniversary stuff about pets, stuff about your band, hobbies, things of that nature. What's your opinion on sharing personal items? Obviously, the goal is not to make it look like Facebook. That's another platform for
yeah.
that type of content. But again, if I'm posting, business related content all day, how well does personal content perform on LinkedIn? And should I just stay away from it? What's your opinion?
No, I think you should double down on it. I'm a
Okay.
huge fan. I'm a huge fan of pulling those stories out. As I mentioned, skating. I talk about my past being a
Right.
skateboarder. I'm a classic hipster from Colorado. I can't help it. Like I'm drinking iced coffee
Right.
with a glass straw in a mason jar right now. So I
That's
mean,
the
like,
thing.
double down on who you are, and I think that is the part of your brand that people connect with the most. And if
Right.
all I did was LinkedIn tangible tips and tricks every single day, people would be like, okay, Dan, like, is this all you
Right.
think about? Like, how about you tell us something about your life? Like is this all you think about? People might start to worry about me. So
Right.
I think it's important for us to share that. And so what I do is focus on an execution strategy that allows me to integrate little tips and little bits of each part throughout each week. So like Monday, I'll start out with a story from my past that has to do with my current future and what I'm doing in my business. And then that's always great because it's leading off the weekend. I've thought about a lot of stuff. I don't usually post on Saturday or Sunday.
Mhm.
Um, and then Monday starts. I start out with a good story. Then Tuesday hits. I hit my followers with a tangible tips and tricks day for LinkedIn, how they can hack the algorithm, just
Nice.
oozing value. And then Wednesday I'll go into a process based post where I'll discuss the process of being an entrepreneur, starting a business, building content, just something where I can bring someone into the weeds and really get down into the details about something. And then Thursday I just focus around my content pillars of community building and all these things, branding. And then Friday I do a shout out post where I bring my community in. I tag a few different people that have stood out to me in the world of LinkedIn, who I
Right.
think deserve credit. Because usually Friday people are tired. They're they've been working all week. You got to think of the Monday Friday grind.
Of course.
So when I stick to those kinds of things, it allows me to bring that story in, yet also focus on my niche and providing value. But I think when it comes to personal stuff, if it relates back to your business, I find that you can make a metaphor out of almost anything in your life, and any story that you have can relate to what you're doing in your business or your current work.
Yeah.
So I think the two go hand in hand. One hand washes the other, and there's no reason that people come for the tips and tricks, but they stay for your personal brand. They stay for what they
I love
fell in
it.
love with, the person that you are, how you make people feel when you walk into the room. That's what really matters the most. And frankly, I think we all should just double down on it. If you're a gripey Gen Xer and you're sick and tired of people being on TikTok, start talking
Right.
about that. Like, people will love. There are other people out there that will want to hear that, and there's not enough people creating. So you're going to get a lot of people looking at it. So yeah,
Love it. Nah, I love that. It definitely resonates with me personally. And I think a lot of people that's listening in, chiming right now, they need to hear that, because for so long, LinkedIn has been looked at as the place that's, kind of bougie. Hey, let's not, break any rules here. And you're saying double down, which is incredible. The second thing that I caught about your answer is that you're very structured with knowing what days of the week you're posting your content. So talk a little bit about that. Like, how did you come up with that structure? I'm sure that, when you're freelancing, you're coaching people on structure and what to post, but how has that impacted your content strategy overall, just being more organized?
Yeah. So when I first got started, and this is what I developed with my clients and what I do with them now. But
Hmm.
I batch content in advance back when I first got started because I couldn't quite think up ideas right away. I hadn't really figured out that there was all this opportunity yet, and I was just kind of like a flailing. I was just flailing around at that point. I
Doing
didn't know what I
whatever.
was doing. So, but I developed these buckets, or just these places, Google Docs, for me to put my stuff into and just batch it ahead of time, separate it by a hashtag, put a date next to it, whatever. Maybe
Yeah.
no date, maybe just a bucket. I pull from it when I want. So I developed that with my clients, and then I kind of ran out of time for my own batching because I was doing it with them. And so I just started collecting little nuggets inside my notes app. So I'll pull out my phone. I'll say, hey Siri, and then I'll say, create a TikTok about XYZ, or create a LinkedIn about XYZ. And then I come back later in the morning, anytime I was ready to create my post that day, and I'd write my post based on those little things I had found. But it was so ADHD, so scattered, so like all
Right.
over the place. I felt like some weeks I was talking about one thing too much, and then the next week not talking about this other thing enough. So I have my branding pillars of community, content, branding, engagement, and social media. My content pillars, and then
Right.
I knew those were the things I love to talk about, but I didn't feel like I had an execution strategy, so I just developed my own, and I figured 5 days a week, a different style piece of content on those days. And that doesn't mean I don't mix it up. That doesn't mean some days I don't wake
Of
up and say,
course.
like, I got this cool idea I thought of in the shower the other day, like I need to do this now. Because as a writer, I have a real like neurotic sense of like creativity, and I have
Right.
to do it right then and there. And so sometimes you break all the rules that you've established and you just roll with it, and people end up loving it. So
Right.
I think your audience also influences your content, because when you have a good conversation in the comments, you just screenshot it and throw it in your notes app and just save it
Right.
for later. That's all you have to do. You don't have to get these crazy online softwares. Just screenshot your stuff in the beginning, and then when you're ready to write something, come back and then just
Love it.
expand on that. And then guess what? You can tag that person. You already had a conversation with them. They're going to respond to you. So you tag
Right.
that person in the piece of content. You give them a shout out. You give them that boost up, like, hey, you're awesome too. You had a great insight. Here's what else I think about it. You get another conversation started. You expand your community. You get that cross pollinating effect in the algorithm.
Hmm.
So you're killing multiple birds with one stone.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's all based around, yeah, just boosting people up and just
Yep.
creating those insights based on what your audience is giving you.
No, I love it. I love it. So, in the vein of boosting people up, creating community, this one word always comes up, and it's the DMs, right? So, reaching out and connecting and improving or growing your community by way of DMs. So, I have two ways to look at the DMs in LinkedIn. I've gotten really crazy DMs from people trying to outreach, trying to get me into their world, and sometimes on the other end, the person writing and DMing me, they're hitting it right on the nose. They're engaging with me, trying to provide value. What's your take on, for business owners listening, agents listening, real estate agents listening? What's the best way to just start a conversation in the DMs? Should you be aggressive? Should you be passive?
Uh,
Should you a piece
yeah.
of content? What are your tips there with cold outreach, or should we stay away
So
from it, Dan?
no, no. I mean, you can't get people over the finish line by just doing content. So yeah, you
Right.
have to have a DM strategy. And I think the best way to go about it is to never send a connection request in the beginning. Don't send one.
Okay.
Just follow people, because at the end of the day, that takes all the sweat off, because you can't send someone a DM when you follow them. Also, number one, let's start at the beginning actually. So if you're out there in the world of LinkedIn, you're a business owner and you're thinking, how do I find people to work with in my niche? Okay, first things first, hit Google, ask top 20 accounts to follow in my niche or in my industry. You should at least know close to where your industry is, or at least if you're in insurance, look that up, yada, yada.
Right.
Yeah. And so, yeah, you follow the right people and you click the notification bells on their profiles, and they're creating a lot of content. So there's going to be a lot of people engaging with it. And so then you start following their stuff, and you start hitting up those pieces of content anytime you see them, seeing what they're talking about, not only observing how they do it, but also jumping into the comments and finding people in that they're connected to that niche that you can engage with, going to their profiles, alerting them in that sense, because it does show that to them. And then, yeah, so once you've built up a nice, feed of things that actually are in your area, unlike TikTok, LinkedIn's feed is not as user friendly. It takes a little bit of nudging to get it to give you what you want. So once you have this community of great people, I would never look at anything as a cold outreach. By the time you've gotten to their DMs, hopefully they have seen your content and you've engaged with them in a legit way without being at all salesy at all. And you just had a conversation with them multiple times, whether it's in your content or in someone else's. And at the end of the day, the algorithm is going to continue to cross-pollinate you no matter what. So you're going to keep seeing each other's friends and the people they're communicating with, and you're going to keep seeing their content. But if you have like a list of people you want to reach out to, put them on a list, and then just keep an eye on them. Hit the notification bell. Keep engaging with them. Keep seeing what they're talking about. And what I do, and I can't speak for every single industry, but what I do is I jump into the DMs and I say, hey, thanks so much for commenting on my post recently. What you said was super insightful. Thank you for sharing that. A little bit goes a long way on LinkedIn. We all got to help each other out, yada, yada, something like that. One creator to the next, one person in an industry to another. And that's it. They can respond. If they do, awesome. Immediately, the algorithm is going to match you up even more closely, and you're going to continue to see each other's content even more. So if you're continuing to put that out there, they're going to continue to see it. They're going to get to know your brand. They're going to learn your voice, maybe even see your videos. And so by the time you get to that point where you want to send a DM and ask for a meeting, you're not just Dan from whatever industry dropping in to give you a slide deck. You're Dan, the guy that took them engaging with you from the beginning. I never found them. They came to my content. The algorithm brought them to me. I'm not using Sales Navigator. I'm not looking them up on Google. I'm just waiting for them to come to me. And when they do, I act on it very slowly. And so what I'll do, and I'll try to make this a little shorter if I can, but what I do is once I get to that point and I've said to myself, okay, this person's content is a little sparse. They're not getting quite the engagement they could. They got a good 3,000 followers, yada, yada. They should be seeing more from this. I've established a need in my head. I'll jump into their DMs and I'll say, hey, I noticed a few things about your profile that I'd love to share with you that will help you boost your engagement or get more engagement on your content. Or maybe it's something else. Maybe they're not engaging with enough people. Maybe they're just posting content and they're not talking to people enough. Whatever it is, I'll keep it to myself, because sometimes people don't want to hear it, So you give them that option. So maybe other people in your audience can integrate this strategy, but you give them that option. You say, hey, I have these little golden nuggets I'd love to share with you, whether it's about someone's ad strategy or their website or whatever it is. And then when they message back, they can let you know that you give them that ability to say yes or no. You're not walking up to them at the urinal and saying, hey, would you like to see my slide deck? And when would you like to see me next week? So at the end of the day, they already know who you are. They already trust you. They've already seen your content. And by then they're likely to say, yes, I'd love to hear it. I've seen your stuff. I totally would love to see what you have to say. And then I use this thing called Loom, and I record my screen. I go to their page. I point out what it is, X, Y, and Z. I try not to go over 5 minutes. And then I send that back to them. It gives them a visual of everything. I put a scheduling button at the top if they want to set up a meeting with me. But a lot of times people respond and they're like, that was so awesome. Thank you for sharing that. A lot of times I'll give them a new headline they can put on their profile. I show them what they can have by working with me. And I've been doing this for a few weeks now, maybe a month, and I think 90% of the people I've reached out to, I've gotten a meeting with, and I'm in the process of talking about them becoming a client. So rather than DMing 100+ people every day and pissing off every single one of them, instead you can create content, build trust, engage with people, and then after a little bit of time, give them that option, and then just blow their minds with whatever information you have, because they trust you at that point. So yeah.
Now, I love it. I love it. So that was definitely a deep answer. Just to pick out, from
Yeah.
not even the weeds, pick out all the good stuff. By the time you get to the DM phase, you're saying that just enamoring with so much content and engagement that they're already warm. It's no longer even a cold DM at that point.
It's not.
Just continue to follow up value. I also like what you said about Loom. Loom is definitely one of the tools that I use in my business as
Oh,
well.
cool.
It's fantastic for just
I love
screen
it.
recording, getting deep with that client, that potential client, right? And giving them more value. So again, love the tips there about DMs. I'm sure the audience loves it as well. So before we close out, I'm going to ask you two more questions. Number one is, so you're on LinkedIn, obviously that's your bread and butter, right? But we've met on TikTok. I'm sure
Yeah.
you're on other networks as well. So how has social media in general, as a whole, impacted your business in the past year, 2 years since you've been on social media? How has it impacted your business personally?
Oh man, that's a big question. I think that
That is a good
there
question.
there would be there would be no yeah there'd be none of this if social media were not what it is.
Cool.
I think I felt this transition in life when things moved from like the gatekeepers of radio and TV and all these big ticket, you have to spend a lot of money to get people's attention. I really felt that transition to social media over the last 20 years where it's like all of a sudden people have an opportunity to create something. It's a new entrepreneurial opportunity. It's entrepreneurship 2.0, and you can jump on a platform and create a following and then figure out what you want to do with it. That influence and that clout is everything. And so I think what social media has done is made it so that every single a lot of people are like, oh yeah, well, every single company is a media company now, and then they do something else. Like even companies like Domino's are like, we're a tech company, we just happen to make pizza. So it's like a lot of big brands are taking this on, and so are personal brands. And I think that there's a great opportunity there. As much as it is obnoxious that people have to market themselves so much, it also creates this unique opportunity to gain such a huge influence and be able to take that and monetize it in your own way, where literally you can live in a van and film yourself each day and put it up as a vlog on YouTube and make over 100 grand a year probably. And then you can create
Easily.
a clothing line based off of that. And then you can create a service where you teach other people how to create their own van life social media pages or whatever. Um,
Right.
and so then there's all these other things that trickle into that: accountants for creators, and service providers for people that want to build on LinkedIn like myself, and then people like yourself creating podcasts and live streams and offering up that service as a way to grow other people's businesses or whatever. So I
Right.
just think that it's truly revolutionary. There are a lot of negatives that come with social media, of course, but I think there's also a lot of great things that are happening and a lot of great communicating that's happening, and opportunity for average people. Really, I mean, everybody has a phone, and if you can just pick it up and jump on TikTok and create a portal into your life and get 100,000 plus views on it in a matter of seconds, I mean, that's amazing. That no one in previous generations could ever say that they could just open up their phone and immediately be shown to the world. And as much as that's
Right.
terrifying, it's also awesome, and it's a great
Right.
opportunity. And I think if it's done right, you don't end up getting going viral because you screamed at someone in traffic or something. Like
Right.
as long as that
Or,
doesn't happen.
or slap or slap someone.
Yeah, or slap somebody. Yes,
Right.
yes. Let's stick with what's currently happening.
Of
Exactly.
course.
Yeah.
Nah, I
Anyways, yeah.
totally.
So that's how I feel. That's the creator economy to me, and I think that a lot of business owners can tap into it and take advantage of it, and really do a lot of great things for themselves and their families. And
Mhm.
I think that's really cool. It really inspires me.
Awesome. Awesome. Now, I appreciate it, and I hear the inspiration in your voice. You definitely speak with conviction and passion, Daniel. I appreciate you being on the show. Before we exit, though, if there's somebody listening that needs help with LinkedIn specifically, how can they reach out to you and get help right away?
Yeah, I guess my website would be the best thing. Daniel Kading, DanielKading.com. It's just a simple one pager. You can click a button and schedule a meeting with me. And then if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, it's Daniel Kading again with a lightning bolt in front if for any reason it needs that. Follow me on there. I post five days a week, sometimes twice a day. video stuff, all kinds of random stuff. I'm always experimenting and trying to, just provide value for everybody that I can. And then at Brand with Dan, if you want to find me on TikTok, IG, or Twitter, at Brand with Dan, no special spelling there. But if you ever need anything, shoot me a DM. I'm legit about this stuff. I am always helping people. And if you just want me to send you a loom back to give you some tips and you're like, I can't afford to work with you yet, I don't care. Hit me up. It's all good. I'm happy to help you, and it helps me stay sharp. So
there you go. I appreciate you. Thanks for being on the show. And again, good luck.
Yeah, you're really good at this. Thank you. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thanks for listening. Agents and Owners Chit Chat is produced by Gladmash. To be featured or sponsored, or to sign up for Agents and Owners free social media tips, please visit www.gladmash.com.